welcome to our podcast, which will look at bereavement and self-help. I'm Vicky, I'm the Individual Giving Manager for Age UK Lancashire, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can help yourself at home if you're going through a loss. If you are going through a loss at this time, I'm really sorry. Please do make sure you've got plenty of support from family and friends during this time. And if you do need to speak to someone, there will be links at the end of this podcast should you need any further help and support. Today we're going to look at bereavement. We're going to try and understand what bereavement and grief is, and what self-help you can do at home, just to make sure you're staying healthy and kind to yourself. I personally lost 3 grandparents, and I've lost family friends throughout my life. I personally find losing someone really hard, so I struggle, and it takes me quite a few weeks to get over that loss. The length of emotions and kind of going through all those roller coaster of emotions, it takes its toll on me, so I find it quite hard. In 2015, I lost my nan to dementia, and it actually took me 6 months for the grief to catch up with me, and I needed help and support through counselling, which really helped. And I'll touch on that a little bit more further on in the podcast. So just to know that, not there's no wrong way or right way in terms of how you feel about losing someone. Grief is different, very different for everyone, and it can, that includes your family and friends as well. So please don't feel upset if you're feeling very differently to the way someone else might be feeling. I hope that this podcast will help you. If you are struggling, please do take the time during this podcast to pause. Please take the time to take a drink if you need a drink, because there may be some conversations that you might find difficult. So please do look after yourself during this podcast. So let's understand grief, and let's have a look at self-help. So we will all lose someone throughout our lifetime. During that time, it's really difficult, even if the loss is expected following a short or long illness. But when it's unexpected, that can be even more traumatic, and especially when circumstances might mean that we can't share that experience with family and friends. And we found that with COVID, we know that during those couple of years, it was really hard for family and friends to go through that time and not be able to connect with each other as we normally would have done. As I've mentioned, there will be links at the end of this podcast, so please do take the time to make a note of them, take a note of the website links and the phone numbers should you need them. So we will now talk about the effects of grief and how long those effects may last. So grief is a normal response to when we lose someone, and as I've said, it will be felt differently by everyone. The feelings can often take you by surprise. You may be feeling overwhelmed, numb, angry, anxious, or even deep sadness. You might struggle to sleep, and it can also affect your appetite as well. Some of these emotions can be felt all at the same time, which is really overwhelming, but also they can come at really random times during the day or during the night, or even weeks or months later down the line. So please just be kind to yourself during this period of grief. And as I've mentioned, people feel differently. There is no right or wrong way in terms of feeling when it comes to grief. The weekend I actually lost my nan. My nan passed away on the Saturday, and on the Sunday, we became aware that an accident had happened, and sadly we unexpectedly lost a family friend. It was a very emotional time, because we didn't really understand what was happening, and we didn't actually really know what happened until the following day. Apart from we could see the scenes with ambulances and police cars. So it was a really emotional weekend. The unexpected loss of our family friend really hit me hard, and it hit me hard for a good couple of days. I actually went to work the following day, trying to get some normality, and it was completely the wrong thing to do because I was in such deep shock. 6 months later down the line, I then began to feel really tired, really sluggish. I was sleeping a lot more, and I was very much in a daze, actually. So that I'd find myself sitting on the sofa, and before I knew it, an hour had passed, and I'd started drinking a lot more water than what I normally would. So I had a chat with my GP, and following some discussions, we realised it was delayed grief. We kind of sat down and had a chat about the ways forward, and we kind of thought counselling would be the best way forward for me. And I had 6 weeks of grief counselling, and it was really nice to kind of talk about what happened and my relationship with my nan, and just kind of accepting and just kind of getting everything out in the open. And it really helped, and I'm really glad that I had that opportunity for counselling. It's not for everyone, but of course it was just that process for myself. The first few days of a loss, it can be really emotional, and as I said, you can feel a bit of shock. It could be overwhelmed. You could be feeling angry. You could feel guilty, or even you might even feel relieved if it's been, if there's been a long period of illness. You might just feel relieved that of that loss, which may sound a bit strange, but it can just be a bit of relief. There's the emotional pain as well behind it all. So you may feel that you can't carry on with your life, and just know that this is just a period and it will pass. These feelings are natural, so try not to feel too anxious about it, and just know that these emotions will come and go, but they will come and go at really difficult times, and often will take you by surprise as well. Leading up to the funeral, there's even more emotions and even more there's just a lot more emotions when it comes up to leading to the funeral. It's worth noting as well that the funeral and the wake at the funeral are really important. You get the chance to say goodbye with family and friends, and then following the wake, you're able to share memories and share stories about that person, and it really is kind of uplifting at that time, because it makes you think about that person in a lovely way, and kind of hear about how much of an impact they may have had on someone else's life. Following the funeral, you may find that the support from your family and friends becomes less, but please do ask them for that support if you need it. They will be there to help and support you if you ask. As life goes on, when it comes up to anniversaries or birthdays, you may feel emotional, and that's perfectly fine. And again, talk to your family and friends around those times as well. you will find as well that there may be times or certain situations that you become emotional. So it might be that a song that you hear on the radio reminds you of them, and that's absolutely perfectly fine to have, to have that moment. One of the things I remember from when my nan was alive was I'd taken her out for the day, and she had said, "Do you enjoy driving?" And I do. I love driving. I drive quite a bit, and I really do enjoy it. And I remember sat in the passenger seat, and I was like, "Yeah, I do actually. I really enjoy it." And every now and again, there's a certain point on the motorway, and I don't know why it's that point. It could be the point where she asked me, but there's always that point where there's times when she will just pop up, be in the passenger seat, and go, "Do you enjoy driving, Vic?" And we start having a conversation. We start having a natter, and it's something that I do every now and again. And I even do it in the street. So I'll be walking home, and my granddad will pop up in my head, and we'll have a conversation, usually about horses. But for me, that's just a way of feeling still connected to them. And it's just my way of controlling the grief and controlling those emotions. Yes, I might still get upset, but it's not in a painful way. And there may be times when you may just find yourself just having a conversation like that, or having a dance to a song, or sitting down and watching a movie, and just whatever it is, it's absolutely fine, and just kind of be in that moment. I'm going to read you a quote from the Bereavement Advice Centre. "Over time, the less bad days do begin to outnumber the really bad days. Although this may feel impossible to imagine at the beginning, many people find inner strength that enables them to come through this experience, still very much missing the person who has gone, but able to remember them and enjoy life again." So over time, you will learn to cope with these feelings and to recognise the places and the things that trigger your emotions. And as I've mentioned, it's important at all stages to ask for support, whether that's with your friends, your family, even work colleagues, or even seeking advice from your GP. Especially if it's, if the grief is affecting your personal health and you're feeling depressed or even anxious, please do go and get that support wherever possible. So let's have a chat about what you can do at home. So self-help at home, it can really help you in your mind, in your body, and of course in spirit as well. So give yourself space to feel the pain of grief, and give yourself permission to take a break when you need it. The worst thing I did was I went back to work too soon, and everyone at work was saying to me, "Why are you here? You need to go home, and you need to relax and rest and grieve." But I also needed a bit of normality at that time, so that's what I thought I needed, and it was wrong. So do take a break when you need it. Don't be afraid to take that extra time if you need it. Look after yourself. You are number one. So this actually does lead me on to being kind to yourself. Self-compassion, it has tremendous power. Treat yourself as you'd valued a friend. Be honest, but in a positive way. And if that means just being kind to yourself, using positive affirmations, that's absolutely fine. Managing your stress levels as well. So there's many different ways that we can manage our stress, even outside of grief. But these can be prayer and self-visualization. It can be yoga. It can be mindfulness. and we can even focus on our breathing as well. Being able to focus on your breathing is really important anytime, really, and just taking 5 minutes to doing some breathing exercises is really, really helpful, and it just helps ground you and it brings you back into the moment, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed with emotions. We're then going to move on to enjoying yourself, and it's really important to enjoy ourselves, and it can simply be taking the time out to have a bath, reading in the bath, for example, having a long soak, and just even with some essential oils, just breathe, again, using those breathing exercises just to breathe and relax. It could be gardening, it could be cooking, it could be dancing or singing, just doing something that you love. And if you find that you're still emotional, that's fine, absolutely fine. Take 5 minutes, have that moment, and then carry on just doing the things that you enjoy. Also, have a healthy lifestyle. It's probably the worst timing to kind of think about being healthy, but try to keep your body healthy as you can. Drinking plenty of water and eating the right foods. Avoid alcohol and drugs, because these just don't help with your mood, and it can just kind of keep you in that spiral of depression or anxious. So please do avoid that. Make sure you're just keeping yourself hydrated and have a healthy diet as well. Exercise, and again, this is probably the last thing we want to think about if we've lost someone. So just gentle walking exercises can be really helpful, and especially with family and friends. So talking and sharing during a walk is really helpful. It doesn't have to be anything too vigorous. You don't have to go to a spinning class or go for a marathon, but just gentle exercises. Yoga, for example, is a really good one as well, and it just keeps your body feeling nice and healthy and relaxed. Getting enough sleep as well, so we know that we need at least 8 hours of sleep for our bodies and mind to feel rested. Grief can make you feel tired, so please do just listen to your body. If you're feeling tired, take that break, take that time to go and have a rest. And as I've mentioned previously, during that 6-month period, I felt really tired and I was sleeping so much more, and it was just my body telling me that I just needed to rest and catch up and actually process everything that had happened. And talking and sharing, which I've mentioned as well. So just remember to keep talking and sharing. Family, friends, and your GP and your doctor is really, really important during this time. And also, build your resilience. So when you build your resilience, it allows you to cope with life's ups and downs. And it can be things like joining a support group or a network. And the websites that I've shared at the end of this podcast will have those networks and groups that you might want to think about joining. And then following on from this, get a checkup as well with your GP. So sometimes when we are grieving, it runs the risk for illnesses to increase due to stress. So please do just kind of get a checkup if you need it. Thank you for listening. I really hope that this has helped in some way. The websites and the numbers will be on your screen shortly, so please just do take the time to have a look at these should you need them. Age UK Lancashire do have booklets on bereavement, so if you do want one of these, please do give us a call, or you can email us as well. So our number is 0300 303 1234, or you can email us at advice@lancs. Nope, it's not. It's you can email us at advice@ageuklancs.org.uk. Thank you so much. I really hope that this has been helpful. We will, in a couple of days' time, we will be looking at how we can help with later life planning as well. So should you need any information and advice with later life planning, please do keep a lookout for that podcast with Anne and myself. Thank you very much. Please do take care of yourself, and please do take care of your loved ones as well. Bye.